and welcome back to the E2B podcast. I am so excited because I have someone that is near and dear to my heart that we like touched base like a few weeks ago. We haven't talked in so long, so it was just so good to meet up with the amazing Will Parker 2 weeks ago. And it was so funny when we met up, he was like, I need to get back on the podcast and talk to you about some amazing things that are happening in my life. And I was like, yeah, you do. So I am so excited to have Will Parker back here on the podcast. Will, I'm so excited you're here.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome. So, listen, y'all, for those who may not know, Will is an amazing director, actor, writer of different screenplays and actual films as well. So, we're going to talk about one of his films today that I actually was in. I'm excited to share that, Atrabilious. And so, we're going to talk about those things and just catch up because it's been a while. So, Will, what is going on in your world right now? What's happening with you?
Yeah, so the movie came out last Friday,
Mhm.
which has been super exciting because we filmed it, I think, about 3 years ago. So
Yeah.
it's been in development for a while, and I've been editing for a while. So to be partnering with Buffalo 8 and to have it on Prime Video is super rewarding. So it's been a great feeling to have it out there.
That is exciting. And so here's the thing. It was so interesting when Will had, he was like, okay, you can, be a part of this actual production. First of all, let's just take it back even beyond that. Will is 21 years old, y'all. I just need you to understand how amazing this is to me, and I'm pretty sure to you as well. A 21-year-old person who is actually out here creating in a way that most adults will be fearful to do. It's just unbelievable to me. So when this young person was like, "Yeah, you can be in my movie," I was like, "Yeah, I am," because it's like what are the odds to be a part of something so monumental in that way, and for someone that young to have this type of creativity? I was like, I have to be a part of this. Like, there's no question about it. So my thing is like, what got you into actually film and TV and wanting to actually be a director and even a writer, like all the things? Like, how did you just say, this is where I need to be?
Yeah, so it was during the pandemic. I made a short film because I was like, I want to do something because I think it would just be fun to get some people that I know together and just make something. And I had a really good time doing that, and that was like 10 minutes. And then I started writing something that was a little longer, like a medium length feature, just as a way to get my friends together because everyone had been so isolated that I was
Right.
like, this could be a fun way to kind of get the gang back together. And the script just kept getting longer and longer because I was super interested in the characters and the story and the relationships. And that turned into my first feature, 40 Winks. I had such a great time doing that I wrote my second feature, Atrabilious, which was kind of like a step up, because I wanted to do something that was, kind of in the mystery thriller genre. My first movie was more of like day in the life, dark comedy. Uh, and my second movie is definitely, it's got dark comedy too, but it's more of a thriller. But yeah, it was kind of like coincidence in a way. It wasn't like this big decision of like, oh yeah, I want to be a filmmaker. It was kind of like I made this short film and I was having a great time and I just kept going. And like the route of just making them just felt kind of natural to me. I wasn't like, oh, I need to wait, because I was like, I'd rather like make something now and learn from my mistakes in like a really real way rather than just waiting. Because I was so, I really just wanted to make things and go out there and do it. So I was like, I'd rather take that risk than just keep it subdued and at bay.
That's so cool. I just love it. And I probably say it so many times and continue to say it over and over again. Like, I'm just so impressed by you. You are like, you're so inspirational to me because you're just being so young and just having that will and drive. Well, there we go. Boom. It's just so amazing to me. I'm just always so proud of you and everything that you're doing. But this is another thing I wanted to ask because I was thinking about this. I was like, the title Atrabilius, how did you come up with that actual title? Because from what I understand, what the meaning of Atrabilius, meaning like almost like melancholy or even like irritable or like kind of down type of feeling, like how did that name come in to be the actual name for the actual production?
So I knew the movie's like follows this man named Steven who's trying to figure out kind of the mystery behind the disappearance of his son.
Right.
His son dies in a tragic car accident, and he figures out that he may still be alive. And he's led to this bar, Atrabilious, that serves up these cocktails that help you deal with your grief without the negative effects of alcohol. And he soon figures out that the bar may be connected to his son's death. And so, with like grief being a big theme and like the mystery element, I knew that I wanted it to be like very disjointed and like difficult to follow because, when somebody's dealing with the process of grief, it can feel like that. You have like these memories and like these moments, and some things like disappear in your mind and you get checked out when this is happening, and then like when you're in a room of people it feels like all eyes on you. So that's kind of tonally and structurally what I wanted to explore. And so I was like, to that point I wanted the title to be something cryptic that matched that.
Yeah.
So I just googled words that are difficult to pronounce and nobody knows the meaning to, and attribute like top five. And I was like, it sounds super cool and it totally fits. And I like the idea of the bar having a name that, like, at face value was very, like I said, cryptic and like, melancholic. But then when you get there, it's this kind of magical place. So it's kind of like, the beauty underneath this thing that seems so grim. But it was really just like a thesaurus check. I mean, just to be honest. I'm not gonna, go around that and be like, you know, I've known
Hmm.
this word for a while. It's one of my favorite words. Like, I had no idea what it was.
The thing is, like, I was really thinking that too. I was like, where did Will, like, Atrabilious? And I'm gonna be completely honest. Like, the first time I heard that word was when you actually presented this actual opportunity for me to be in this movie. Like, I was like I at
Yeah,
40 whatever years old, this is the first time I'm even hearing about this freaking word. Like, what the
yeah,
hell? What
nobody
am I
knows
doing
about
live?
it. Everyone thinks it's made up because there are some elements of like mythology and Greek mythology and kind of like, those very big themes about right and wrong and good and evil. So a lot of people thought like, "Oh my god, did you do some kind of like deep dive like translation?" I was like, "No, I googled."
It's like, nope, do, and send. Thanks.
I want that one. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And so, like, the process, I guess for me, and maybe some people that are listening too, it's like when you are, and I'm like totally shifting, but like when you are looking for actors, because I know people probably thinking, okay, you are 21 years old, right? How are you finding these actors? Like, what is that process like? Like, how do you even get around to even doing something like this? Are these just friends, or do you go through a whole like professional process with finding actors? You know?
I mean, I'm not going to skirt around the fact that a lot of it is just based on my parents' connections. I mean,
Mhm.
it's people that they know, but I wanted to like, I didn't want it to just be like, can you text them and tell them do this thing? So they didn't know that a lot of their colleagues were in it. Like, found their emails or like reached out to their agents and wrote them long letters about how much I admired their work and wanted to work with them. And that's really goes a long way. I think
Right.
the director personally reaching out to them. And then of course even more so that they know my parents, like that's a very huge part of it. But I think what was most exciting for people is that they were playing parts that they hadn't really gotten to play before.
Right.
I don't like to like be like, well, let's cast X in this part because they've played a bunch of villains in the past and stuff like that. I think it's much more fun to like kind of mismatch those. It's like exciting for them
Mhm.
because their performances become so unpredictable because it's something that we as an audience are unfamiliar with. But really, Leon, I worked with on 40 Winks, and he went to college with my mom, and I just admired his work ethic, and he was so sweet and so funny and so great to be around. So I wrote the part with him in mind because I was just like, I just had this like vision of him like being the lead actor in a movie, and I was like, I just have to pursue that. And then Mark Boone Jr., who plays the villain, he was in that first 10-minute short film that I did. And
Right.
I just loved, he's so sweet, and such a great person to work with. And so that's kind of the process there.
No, thank you for sharing that. And let me tell you something, y'all. Like these, I mean, he has really big names in this actual movie, and even in 40 Winks as well. And it's so impressive. Like for me, like when I got on set, I was like, okay, just going to set, whatever. You see, like people, you're like, oh, well, okay, well, here we are. And I'm blanking on the guy's name right now. This is so bad that I'm blanking on it.
Lewis Black.
Yes, Louis.
Yes. Oh,
I
his
just remember just like sitting there talking with him, and we just were doubled over laughing. But meanwhile, at the same time, like I'm sitting here cracking up with Lewis Black. Like, what is going on? Like, it
great.
was so amazing, right? So awesome. So another thing I wanted to ask was when it comes to you actually directing people of that caliber, like does that bother you, or are you in like because of your upbringing and just being around that type of energy and environment, does that ever like take you back like, oh my gosh, I'm actually giving direction to Whoopi Goldberg or Lewis Black, or are you just saying this is an actor that I'm providing, direction to for the work that I've created? Does that make sense?
Totally. I mean, everyone made it very clear that they were walking on set with a very professional work ethic.
Right,
Nobody was like, "Oh, I'm doing this as like a favor because I'm a friend to your parent that we're
right,
gonna," It was like, "No, I'm like an actor in this, and I want to treat you the way that I'd treat a director," and which I was very thankful for. But we had a super small crew. Like we were shooting this thing on DSLRs. It was like some days there were like two other people and some days it maxed out at like six or something. So that made it a super intimate set, and that made it so that when I was talking or giving notes to actors, it was much more like a conversation rather than a director saying like, but I don't give a ton of notes. Like I think it's all in like the blocking. I'm someone who'd like rather learn from watching them work and then learn from their questions towards me than
right.
being like, I'm an 18-year-old, I know everything, because I definitely do not. So I found it much more fun to kind of just sit back, let them do their thing and like focus really on like, the blocking or like the fight scenes or the mixology, which was so much fun to do.
So let's talk about that, the whole
Yeah.
mixology, because you kind of gave us a background of what the show is about, what the movie is about. But in terms of you guys creating these drinks that are non-alcoholic that can still give you some type of euphoric feeling, how did like what was that like in terms of you creating these actual drinks? How did you create that? And then like what did that look like in terms of you? Have you ever been like into like mixing drinks, whether it be alcohol? I won't say that because you're 21. You've never like
Never.
we're not even going there. Like, why would you ever
I
drink?
don't. Why would I do that?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so my dear friend Adam Piacente,
Yes.
you know very well. He was a bartender and still knows, a lot of
Mhm.
mixology. And I was on a Zoom with him because we were talking about movies. We connected over the pandemic, and I found out that he was a stunt guy and an actor. And I was like, "Do you want to work on my movie?" And he was like, "Yeah." And then he read the script and he was like, "There's a lot of mixology." I was a bartender, and I was like, "What?" And so we started talking about like some of the different ways that these drinks could be made.
Mhm.
So he had these flowers that turn things blue. And so that suddenly became part of the dialogue. And we knew that we wanted, like, there were, like, the bartenders that kind of like start the establishment, and then the establishment, not to spoil too much, is taken over.
Mhm.
There's some evil bartenders that start doing their thing. So we wanted like a different style for each one.
Mhm.
So when it's like kind of the people who began it, it's very like collaborative. It's like you have these three people, like one person's cleaning the counter and they're using glass cups and the flowers. And then when it's the evil bartenders, it's like one person and they're using plastic cups because I was like, some of the drinks, what's in them isn't so great for the immune system.
Mhm.
Maybe leads to some.
Questionable circumstances.
Yeah. So I was like, I found it kind of funny that it's like the person who's doing this was like, let's give them plastic cups so that they don't break the glass. Like that
Wow.
idea to me was like just kind of funny that they cared more about the glass than the human life.
They're like, listen, we need these glasses
We
for the
need them,
next,
or we go out of business.
right? It's like, hello, like we're running a business here. Oh my gosh, that's so interesting. And the thing is, I didn't even know that. I mean, I think I knew that Adam was a bartender. I think we loosely talked about it, but I didn't know he had such an integral part in the creation of the drinks and everything like that. That is so
Definitely.
cool.
Yeah,
That is really cool. Now, one thing I wanted to bring up was the fact that I saw, well, actually, I think you posted it. It was like a clip of your mom on The View. Was it like a week or so ago? And
yeah,
she was just talking, giving you some props, which I loved about the movie and everything like that. But she brought up the fact that you actually raised the money to actually put this production up. And I think I love the fact that she mentioned, she's like, okay, I'm not going to dismiss that there's privilege behind this, but he actually created this on his own in terms of the actual, from start to finish. And I'm wondering if some people probably thinking that too, like, oh, his mom's Mary Louise Parker, like, of course he's gonna whatever. But like, if you could explain to people like what it's like to just put up a production like this and how even though okay, there is some privilege involved, but there is still money that has to be raised or whatever. How you did that beyond the whole side of you being quote unquote privileged, if that makes sense.
totally. I just did like a written interview, and what I wrote was it would be a pretty lame look for an 18-year-old who didn't go to film school to start a Kickstarter to direct a movie. Like that to me was just like, who the is gonna donate to that? And I was like, I knew I didn't want to use my parents' money in case it like really tanked.
Right.
And so I became an online magician. I started teaching lessons and doing
I love
shows on Zoom, which is kind of like magic on Zoom is so easy because you can use this box to your advantage and like have things off screen. So that was like really just like it was super fun, but I raised the money myself because I knew that I'd feel more proud of it being my creation if I raised the money myself and it was at a budget level where I was like, I could do this. You know, it wasn't like in the six digits. It was like 40 Winks was like 5,000. And then I think our production budget was between 15 and 20K for Atrabilious. And that was something that helped me learn about filmmaking a lot too, was
it.
just like how to spend your money and how to put every penny up on screen. Like whether it's props or costumes or location, that was all super important to me.
That is so cool. And wait a minute, we talked about you being a magician.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that was the how you raised money for the production. So is it a thing where you just kind of like advertise like I'm a magician and like parents or is it for kids or is it for adults? Like
It really capped at like 15. That was kind of
okay,
the oldest. But yeah, I just kind of like sent it out to a bunch of family friends and was like, I'm gonna be, starting this kind of like online magic school. And I pitched it as like a fun way for kids to do something because we were
right.
all locked down. And everyone was like, this is great. This is amazing. And I was like, yeah, it is. Here's my pricing. Um, but yeah, it was super that funded the whole thing because I would do it like all day,
Wow.
and then there would be like group tutorials, and like I'd do the shows for like 50 people on Zoom. So it generated a decent amount of money.
That is so cool. And that's so innovative. I mean, it just speaks to who you are. Because I'm like, the average person would try and find like, a waitressing job or be a bar, you know what I'm saying? Just trying to find something else. But like, that's so creative. I would have never thought of, well, obviously I don't do magic. Let's be serious. But like, I mean, I create magic, but not in,
You are magic.
oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I love it. I love it. So, for you guys that might not know, Will is still in college, which is amazing. This is your last year? Is this your last year?
Yeah, I'm graduating early, so I have like one semester left, which I'm excited for. I think I've had a very good experience at Bennington, and I think I'm kind of ready to just like go off and do my thing because I knew like how bad of a look it would be if, especially as like a director, I didn't get my degree. I think it's like super important. And so I did a year of media studies at Emerson. And then I think it will have been like 2.5 years of drama at Bennington, where I focused on like production design, lighting, and acting. Because I think to learn about directing and producing, you have to like dip your toes in the other areas. I think if you know the way that an actor works firsthand, or the way that a lighting rig is set up, or the way that you put together a certain like flat, all that stuff is super useful to know as a director. So you're not like telling people what to do when you don't know what those things are.
Right. But I think that's so important because I mean, just being on the side of like the acting side, sometimes you are in a situation where where you can tell that a director has no idea as to like what your process is or what it is to actually get into character and things of that nature. So I commend you for doing that because, like I said, a lot of times it's just their focus is just the directing piece and not really seeing where the actor is coming from. So that's amazing.
Yeah, totally. I think it's super important to like include the actors and make
Uh,
sure that you're not just like giving blind direction, because
right,
some direction like actors really don't like they find it like annoying because it's kind of more like feel this emotion rather than just like this is what your character is going through. So
right.
I try to put a lot of work into like making sure that they feel good about the direction that I'm giving. I was just like, I don't know. I thought it was super funny, and I love the idea of somebody having a conversation sitting in the chair, like not knowing what it said. So there's a character like that sits there, very just like trying to figure out like what's going on, and
Right.
the audience knows that it says "fuckhead," but like he does not, and that kind of goes along with the whole thing of him sitting in the fuckhead chair. But yeah,
And so this actual chair is a prop for Atrabilius. Is that what this is?
yeah, my favorite part of the movie. I mean, it's all downhill from here. This is as good as it gets in my career.
As you were like talking, like I was really trying to be attentive and like in it in terms of the whole, process of being a director. And then as I see shoes, like I was like, what is going on behind Will? Oh, no, no, no. You have to explain this.
Yeah, yeah,
This is amazing. So clearly you have kept this prop. Um, and now this is a part of the decor in your house now, which I love.
yeah. It's that my dad's had for a while, and so yeah, it's I we shot at my dad's house, and there were just kind of like different props that I wanted to include, and this was one of the things that was like actually in the script because it's been in my dad's house forever, so I was really like it has to go in. So it's in the writing that the fuckhead chair is a part of the scene.
And so, like, that is another cool thing to talk about. So, the different locations that you chose for Atrabilious, 40 Winks, any of the shows that you've done, how did you actually pinpoint or find these spaces? And did that even cost anything? I mean, obviously, your dad's house, or unless dad was like, you're paying me to use my space,
A
but
lot of
what did
money.
that look like, right?
$50K an hour. That was the whole budget. A lot of it was on Pure Space. I love Pure Space. I think
Okay.
Pure Space is like really great for independent films because you can get these locations that look super nice for super cheap, and it's not like a studio rental, so you don't have to go through all this paperwork and stuff. You kind of just sign it online.
Right.
So I was actually on PureSpace looking at locations in a certain price range when I found the bar. And that was one of my ideas when I started thinking up the movie. That like actually like gave me the idea of the mixology. Um and then for 40 Winks, the main office space was a family friend's
Uh-huh.
place, and it was really like the grocery store was somebody who's now a costume designer that I work with. It was his like family grocery store. And then some of the other houses were family friends, and Fabio's house was my mom's place. This movie, we had like a lot more locations.
Mhm.
So it definitely, I think there were like maybe 5 or 6 spaces that we rented out. And then one was just my dad's apartment. But it was super important to like I knew in writing it what the budget would be, so I
Right,
was like, X amount of time has to be at my dad's place.
right,
Amount of time has to be at the bar. So I think there were only 2 days that we shot at locations that weren't the bar or my dad's place. So
right.
those were not super expensive because we shot some scenes out in like 3 hours.
That is amazing. That is so cool. Another thing I wanted to like mention because I was like, I can't forget this. Will's sister, Ash Parker, is also so talented and like amazing. She wrote some of the music, or actually, yeah, right for
Yeah.
Atrabilius, right? Did she
She
write
did
anything for 40
the
Weeks or no?
She didn't do anything for 40 Winks. She did the Atrabilious like opening kind of like theme song,
Uh-huh.
which is so beautiful, and she wrote it when she was like 15 or 16. And I had this image because I knew that it was kind of like a movie about memories rather than like a clear narrative
Mhm.
about the movie story, because chess is like a big part of the movie about Leon Steven, the character, playing chess at actually this table with a song that my sister wrote that was like a super clear image in my head. And I was kind of like, these are songs for inspiration. Like she got to watch the movie so that she knew what it was about. So if you listen to the lyrics, it's like talking about the movie in a lot of ways, and that it's super haunting. So I think originally I was at the end of the movie, but I was like, I think it's kind of more off-putting in a beautiful way to have it started out.
Right. And you guys, when you see this movie, you'll hear it. I mean, it's such a beautiful
So
song.
beautiful.
And like, and if you knew Ash, or if you know Ash and you're listening to this, you know, like she's such a beautiful, like her energy, like she's such an amazing person.
She's the best
She
person.
really is.
Yeah.
And also in college, like two
Yeah.
young, amazing people, like it's just unreal. So I wanted, before we go, I wanted you to just like, if there was something you wanted people to take away from Atrabilius, what would that thing be in terms of them after them watching the film?
Yeah, I mean, I think I really wanted to convey that like dealing with grief and loss can be so confusing, and
Right.
like, you're just lost and trying to solve this mystery, and it feels like a whirlwind of like emotions and images and sounds. And so I think just kind of like recognizing how difficult it is super important. And then also a big part of the movie is the cocktail bereavement coordination trademark, which is, there are other ways to deal with grief rather than alcohol. I think it's super important to just know that there are ways out, and there are things put in place to make sure that you can like process it and not be overtaken by addiction. So I think even though it kind of like the bar doesn't lead to the greatest place, I think kind of like the conception of it is super important. And yeah, perseverance is a big part of the movie because Steven just like he stops at nothing to find his son. And so I think it's super important to see and to just see that. And he's gives such a beautiful performance in the movie. So I'm excited for people to get to watch him more.
Yes. And I'm telling you, just for the short time that I was on set, like it was just such good energy. Everyone was just awesome. And I mean, even after we actually did actually have the opportunity to view the movie, it was just great. And I'm so happy for you, Will, and for all of the things that are going to come for you in the future, because this is just the beginning for you, Will. And I'm pretty sure you know this. Like, like just so proud of you and all the things that you're doing. So before we go, if you can let people know where they can find you, but before we go, if you could let everyone know where they can find you, social media platforms, websites, whatever, take it away.
Yeah, so I'm at River Styx Productions on Instagram. Atrabilious is streaming on Fandango at home and Amazon Prime Video. And then I'm currently working on my third feature, The Auction, which should hopefully be out in like a few years, like one or two,
Okay.
which is like a major step up in budget and everything. So I'm excited for that.
Okay, so y'all have to come back. We'll talk about auction.
Definitely after every movie I have to come on the podcast.
Please and thank you. Please and thank you. Oh my gosh. Well, this was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So nice to see you.
Nice seeing you too, y'all. And thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Eat Me podcast. I'll see y'all next week. Will, you are the bomb. Thank you.